under the Temple Mount. What could they have been looking for? Rumors throughout history have connected the Templars with both riches and sacred objects. A letter written in 1187 by a survivor of the Crusades claims the Templars had a piece of the true cross. Early Masonic leaders, writing in the 1800s, cite secret documents that allegedly linked the Templars with the Ark of the Covenant and treasure buried in the Temple of Solomon. Modern conspiracy theorists most often claim the Templars were seeking sacred relics that the all-powerful Catholic Church would have given anything to possess or suppress.
Even during the time of the Templars themselves, Crusaders era, 12th, 13th century, there were rumors then too. Perhaps the Templars found the Ark.
You've got to remember that at this time, the relics were an industry unto themselves. The crown of thorns, the spear of destiny, perhaps a piece of the true cross. Any of these would have had great spiritual power, if not some kind of mystical, magical power.
But there is one sacred object above all others that has become intertwined with the ethos of the Knights Templar. It is first mentioned by the German poet Wolfram von Eschenbach. Writing in the 13th century, he claims that formidable fighting men, the Temple Knights, guard an object many would die to possess: the Holy Grail.
The Holy Grail is quite specific to the Crusading period. Every leading poet of the day was writing Grail romances. There was a huge explosion of Grail literature around the end of the 12th century and beginning of the 13th. That's the sacred relic that the Templars are most associated with. The first Grail romance was written by a man called Chrétien de Troyes, who lived in the city of Troyes, which is where the Templars essentially came from. We can date Chrétien's story of the Grail to about the 1180s, towards the end of the Templars' time in Jerusalem.
But what exactly is the Holy Grail? It has long been thought to be the chalice that Jesus used in the Last Supper, which held the wine that was to symbolize his blood. But there are other theories.
It could be any number of things, including a vial of precious blood. It could be a blinding white light. Some of the Arthurian accounts.
Some people would say that the Grail was essentially a Christianized version of the old Celtic Cauldron of Plenty.
It could have been a silver platter, a spear, a secret book. Some believe possibly the Gospel of St. John.
Then, of course, there's the widely known theory that the Grail was, in fact, the holy bloodline of Jesus and Mary Magdalene. The Grail was actually the womb of Mary Magdalene as she married Jesus and had her family. Is the area covered famously by books like the Da Vinci Code.
The Grail seems to have, in many of the stories, the ability to manifest in its own unique way to each person. There are as many Grails as there are Grail seekers. So when we say, did the Templars have the Grail? And which Grail?
Such mystical quests aside, there is a more earthly prize the Templars may have sought.
The prevailing theory is that they were archaeologists, essentially, digging under the Temple of Solomon for the treasure left there by the Jews after the invasions of the Romans in the year 70.
It was gold, jewels, and precious metals and so on. That was hidden at the time of the Jewish revolt in 66 AD. It's never been seen since.
That theory gains credence in 1952, when one of the Dead Sea Scrolls, known as the Copper Scroll, is unearthed. Incised on sheets of hammered copper, it seems to list an inventory of treasure, itemizing some 200 tons of gold and silver.
This immense hoard of gold, relics, and scrolls would have been just a priceless find. It would have meant a great deal of treasure and money for the people that found it, and it also would have been of immense historical significance.
Was this what the Templars were looking for? And did they find it?
Frankly, it's a matter of speculation. What is known is that when they finished their excavations, they scurried down to Europe, worn out the foundry lines, as some considerable speed.
When they came back to Europe in 1128, they became very powerful and very rich in a very short space of time.
Yeah, or up next, called up in Russia. Found the rain. I brought you here not too much, but no more. Now I will stand for fallen heroes.
Are you up for whatever? Don't answer. Grab a Bud Light. Show it. Try new things. Make new friends. Explore new places. Find the fun around every corner. Better yet, be the fun. Laugh, dance, spin, jump. Make a single weekend last a lifetime. And keep it going with a crisp, refreshing Bud Light. Perfect beer for whatever happens.
Taco Bell's new steak double dia. 2 helpings of juicy marinated steak inside of a cheesy quesadilla with a side of chips and salsa. Unbox it only at Taco Bell.
Who says desirable can't also be responsible? The 46 standard safety features of the Lexus RX is proof that front can be good. This is the pursuit of perfection.
Do you want to know how hard it can be to breathe with COPD? It can feel like this. COPD includes chronic bronchitis and emphysema. Spiriva is a once-daily inhaled COPD maintenance treatment that helps open my airways for a full 24 hours. Spiriva helps me breathe easier.
Spiriva Respimat does not replace rescue inhalers for certain symptoms. Tell your doctor if you have kidney problems, glaucoma, trouble urinating, or enlarged prostate. These may worsen with Spiriva Respimat. Discuss all medicines you take, even eye drops. If your breathing suddenly worsens, your throat or tongue swells, you get hives, vision changes, or eye pain, or problems passing urine, stop taking Spiriva Respimat and call your doctor right away. Side effects include sore throat, cough, dry mouth, and sinus infection.
Nothing can reverse COPD. Spiriva helps me breathe better.
To learn about Spiriva Respimat's slow-moving mist, ask your doctor or visit SpirivaRespimat.com.
You do all this research on the perfect car, gas mileage, horsepower, torque ratios. 3 spreadsheets later, you finally bring home the one, then smash it into a tree. Your insurance company's all too happy to raise your rates. Maybe you should have done a little more research on them.
For drivers with accident forgiveness, Liberty Mutual won't raise your rates due to your first accident. See car insurance in a whole new light. Liberty Mutual Insurance.
This is program is brought to you by Liberty Mutual Insurance. See car insurance in a whole new light. The Knights Templar, a holy order and a military force. It is a paradox without precedent.
This was a very new idea at the time. There never had been this idea of a praying monk or a priest taking up arms.
They are sworn to follow the religious precepts of poverty, chastity, obedience, and piety. but they are warriors as well, the most indomitable and bloody the medieval world has ever seen.
They weren't accepted by everybody. Certain writers thought they were. It was really strange to have military monks who killed for Christ.
But when the founding Templars returned from Jerusalem in 1128, they have a powerful patron to help overcome any objections.
St. Bernard of Clairvaux is the leading churchman of his time. He comes to the Templars' defence, sings their praises, writes a tract in their defence.
A Templar knight, Bernard wrote, is truly a fearless knight and secure on every side, for his soul is protected by the armour of faith, just as his body is protected by armour of steel. He is thus doubly armed, and need fear neither demons nor men.
It was called A New Knighthood, his major work, telling about this new order.
Bernard, who later becomes a Catholic saint, has close ties to this new knighthood. He is the nephew of one of the 9 founding knights from the Champagne region in France.
The first 9 knights were very much a family affair. They were all related by blood or by marriage.
It is these 9 knights who make their headquarters at Jerusalem's Temple of Solomon, and it is from this sacred site that they take their name.
They were called the Templars because they had their base on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem by the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which to the Crusaders was known as the Temple of Solomon. The actual full title of the order is the Order of 4 Knights of the Temple of Solomon.
The symbols of the order reflect not the temple's riches, but the knights' humble origins.
The famous image that was concealed in the Templars was to show 2 knights on 1 horse. That's a reference to when they began. They apparently didn't have money. They were very poor.
But they would not remain poor for long. In 1129, the Knights Templar begin one of the most successful recruiting and fundraising campaigns in history. They reach out to noble families across Europe, those with land, fortune, or a son to dedicate to the cause.
Suddenly, with marginal publicity, they start to get grants of land in every part of Europe.
The King of Aragon, for instance, in his will, he died around the early or mid-1130s, left large chunks of what we now know as Spain to the order, and all of a sudden they just have this vast tracts of land. Again, this comes back to the idea that everybody, or at least most people, thought they were doing a good thing. To have this really crack squad of trained soldiers defending the Holy Land.
The Templars attract some of the best trained and most fanatical fighters of the Crusades.
To become a Knight Templar, you have to be nobly born of legitimate descent, and you already have to be a knight.
And you would have to give up all your property, your holdings, and things like that to the organization.